Hello everyone and good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar, which we are starting promptly at 1:30. So we're bang on time, which is brilliant. Today's webinar is for the Principal Strategy and Performance Manager role, which we have advertised at the moment. I'm going to cover a few housekeeping slides and then we will do some introductions and we'll move on so you can find out more about this role and about the OEP. Okay, so just to start off with, my name's Jenny. I am work in HR. I do all of the recruitment for the OEP. I'll pass over now to Andy, please.
Hello, my name's Andy Lester. I'm Head of Strategy and Planning at the OEP, and this role sits within my team.
And Richard.
Hello, I'm Richard Greenhouse. Excuse me. I'm Chief of Staff at the OEP, and Andy's team is one of mine.
And John.
Thank you, Jenny. My name's John Pound, the HR Manager for the OEP. I'm running these slides in the background and here to answer questions later on.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so first of all, this has been set up as a Teams event. It's so that you can join anonymously. We have a Q&A function, so please feel free to put any questions in throughout the duration of the webinar and we'll address them at various points. We will be recording the session and it will be made available on the OEP website under the job section. So please feel free to go back and listen again or pass on to anyone else who you think might be interested. One very important thing is this is not, the webinar is not a substitute for the full job description. Please, please, please do read the full job description before making your application. This is just to provide some extra details, enable you to ask some questions, find out about the role and meet us. So please, please really do read that job description before you apply. Okay, we're going to start off by talk about the OEP, the role and the functions of the OEP, and then the role and the functions of the Chief of Staff Directorate, which is where this role sits. And then we're going to find out a bit more about the role itself from Andy. And we will then move on to looking at the application, providing a few hints and tips, and we'll finish with a Q&A. But as I say, we'll do Q&A throughout. So please do put the questions in. You have a captive audience, so please make use of it whilst we're here. Okay, so I'm going to hand over now to Richard, who's going to talk a bit about the OEP and what we're looking for.
Well, thank you very much. And you'll see on the slide in front of you here a picture of Natalie, who's my boss, the Chief Executive. She's actually really busy today carrying out our important work over in Northern Ireland, where we've launched a water quality report today. That gives you a bit of a flavour, if you like, about what we're all about. We're here to protect and improve the environment by holding government and public bodies to account. It's an exciting role, it's a unique role, and one that requires really good people to make it work. We've been around for approaching 3 years now. So we're still relatively new. We're still doing lots of things for the first time, still finding how we can make the most difference in line with our strategy. And so we need people with a wide range of skills and experience to be able to make us the organisation we are and intend to be, to keep getting better and better as we keep learning as that relatively new organisation. Our mission is at the heart of all of what we do, protecting and improving the environment. Ultimately, that's what we're here for. And we need the best people we can to make that happen. And so if I reflect a couple of years ago when I joined the organisation, I was really excited to join what's is a new organisation. You really do have an opportunity here to make this organisation what you wish it to be. I'd say we're sort of, we've done version 1 and we're now sort of going into version 1 point something, learning from all the experience that we have. And this role has a really important role in helping us do that well. And what we are dealing with is, in my view, really important, and hopefully yours too. Really making sure that the environment is a better one for future generations, helping government actually achieve what it has said that it wishes to, and which is really hard to achieve. There are a few more important things to do. I think if Natalie was here, she would relate the story that when she's asked by her children, what have you done today? She says, I've helped save the world, and it does feel that important sometimes. The next slide, please. And so here is a picture of Dame Dennis, our chair. an outstanding chair, brings a huge amount of experience, as does our board. It's a pleasure to work with our board here. They really care about the organisation, and they, as are we, are always wanting to make sure that we are reaching wherever we can find the best people to help us achieve our mission. And the best doesn't just mean people of a particular type. It means that full range of people with a range of experiences and backgrounds actually help us be the best organisation we can be. And we are blessed with working with a number of really excellent colleagues here. I can say that absolutely hand on heart. It's a pleasure to work with the people here, and it'd be fantastic if you are able to join us to be part of that great team. You do, in joining this organisation, need to be able to work in what's quite a small organisation and quite a flexible one. The range of things we're dealing with does mean that we keep needing to flex, each of us, of what it is that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. And Andy and his team are real examples of doing that. And there are times when there's a lot to get done. We are small. There aren't many places to go when the pressure comes. There are peaks and troughs, as in many organisations, but I'm really proud of the culture that I feel that we have here, where we really support each other. We help each other be resilient as we need to get through those peaks and keep the important work that we do going. So I hope that you're beginning to think, yeah, that sounds a bit like the kind of place I'd like to work, and that's the kind of fit that that you might bring to the organisation, and us with you. I'm 2 years in. I'm still really excited about being here. There are new challenges every day. Next slide, please. And so, to expand a little bit more on what we are and how we do it, we are one of these NDPBs, non-departmental public body. We're sponsored by DEFRA, the Department for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs in England, UK, and by DERA, their equivalents in Northern Ireland, as we cover both Northern Ireland and England, and those rather strange reserved matters, those things that are reserved to the UK Parliament that haven't been devolved to Northern Ireland. We are independent, and it's really important part of our role and identity that we are independent. It's something that we have to manage the risk of it being fettered every day, because part of the reason that we have influence is that we can, hand in heart, say that we are independently holding to account the government of the day, the public bodies of the day, whoever they are, equally and fairly and consistently. We actually have an awful lot of our powers and duties written down in the Environment Act itself, and that really does make pretty clear a number of our powers and duties. But equally, another part of Andy and his team's role is making sure that we turn that act into something which actually works. How do we actually make the organisation work? And indeed, we are consulting on our revised strategy at the moment, which helps bring that to life. And we are one of 4 parts of that Environment Act's environmental governance. So first of all, there's the statutory targets that government says it will deliver to help improve the environment. There's the Environmental Improvement Plan, which is meant to be the plan that says how those targets will be delivered. There's environmental principles, which all of government is to hold to in all of its activities to ensure that it contributes to the improvement of the environment. And then there's us, that holds government and public bodies to account for actually doing all of those things and making sure that the system as a whole works. So I think that's probably me done for now. I think I'm going to hand over to you now, Andy.
Yes, thank you very much. And I think we'll go on to the next one, which is talk about the role of the business strategy and planning team, which, as Richard said, just back one, sits within his wider directorate. Oh no, we're jumping about on all over the shop. Hokey cokey, John.
Oh, sorry, Andy.
Next one.
Sticky
so, my team, business strategy and planning, we're a small team, like all the teams of the OEP, but we're a really important team to make the OEP work. So what you have in the second paragraph here is part of the mission statement we've created our team. So our job is to make sure that the OEP works really purposefully, which is one of our values, to act purposefully and well. that works well defined, well understood, and points in the same direction across the organisation. So is pulling together to deliver the strategy we set out. So to do that, we summarised that as a team. So our job as a team is to make the organisation hum with a bit of the OEP that makes all the cogs in the wheel fit together in the right way, that they're well oiled. There's no clanking, there's no unnecessary noise, there's no bits falling off at the side. We're the part of the organisation that helps the organisation hold together and point in the same direction so we achieve things. So to do that, we do what we say on the tin. So we support the organisation develop its strategy, do its strategic thinking about what the future might hold and how we might face into it. We support the organisation to plan, to work out how we use the tools and powers that the Act gives us to good effect. So how we work out which issues we tackle and how we're going to do that, and to make sure we've got the resources and capabilities to do it. We look after the organisation's governance, and in particular the decision making. As Richard says, the Act, which gives us our powers and duties, sets out in some detail how we are to do some of our things, because some of the things we do are really important. So we can, for example, take government to court, and we can only do that having carefully considered it and our board having taken the right decision. So we look after that and look after the interactions with our board and the management of our executive committee. We also look after, when we made a plan, how we deliver that through good project and programme management. And then we look after corporate reporting so that this organisation is transparent to itself, so that we can see what's going on, and the decision makers from Richard to our chief exec, Natalie, to the board as a whole can see what's happening on the ground and whether it is adding up to deliver the impact we intend. Because we're all here pointing in the same direction to achieve things that make the environment a better place in our own way. So that's the role of the team. Our team, there is how many is there now? There's 8 of us now, within the 80 odd people that form the OEP. It is a really small, dynamic, friendly place. We've had some new starters this week who've been, I was talking to you yesterday about how friendly they found their first day, so long may that continue. And it's an environment where I have found that I can give the best of myself, and I hope that would be true for you too. And in terms of who we're recruiting for one role of a principal strategy and performance manager, which is a really important job in this organisation. And I am extremely biased, but it is a fantastic job. It really is a fantastic job, which the right candidate can make a real difference doing in a way that they will see and the organisation will feel. And if that sounds like something that floats your boat, I hope you'll pay attention when we go into the next slide, where we talk about exactly what this role is here to do. So this role is an important one in my team. And the first thing I say, it is a prominent role. And that's so essentially the work of this role, what this role is responsible for, is all essentially pointing to the board or executive committee. So it is work to service the needs of the board and the executive committee in managing this organisation. So and that's a common feature of all the work. So that makes it a prominent role. It's visible within the organisation to its senior leadership. So you're in the room when it happens, at least some of the time. And if that again is something that might float your boat, then this might be the role for you. In terms of what that's doing, the key part of this role is translating our broader strategy, strategic thinking and plans into things we do. So how do we actually work out what are the things that we're going to prioritise, and how do we do that in a coordinated way, consistently across the organisation, so we're coherent, we're pulling together, and teams are collaborating the right way to reach the right decisions about the things we'll focus on. So organising ourselves to think about how we plan and plan in a really effective way is really important. Another part of this role is continually developing our strategic management information so that we can see where we've been, where we're going, and what we're doing. And I think the continuous improvement is a really important part of that. We're such a small organisation. We're not, there are 80 of us, so we're not super tiny, but really bringing insight to the leadership of this organisation so they can see what matters from what we collect, not just collating numbers, and bringing that insight to help people understand what the risks might be, what the emerging patterns might be, and what should be on the executive's agenda when it's managing this organisation. That's the real nub of what this role needs to do. It's not about pulling the data together, although it includes pulling the data together. It's about what does this organisation really need to be thinking about so it can be the best it can be, and providing that insight to the executive committee with your options and recommendations so that they can make the right decisions, knowing what you know and what you can see. So I do think this is a role where you're a kind of critical friend. I think of this role and my team's role and my role as being walking this organisation through a kind of hall of mirrors that you get at a fun fair. So we see ourselves in all our glory from every dimension, and we can really understand what's going on and what we should be doing in response. A big chunk of this, another part of this role is about leading our project management function. So we have specialist project managers in the business who help teams mobilise, organise, plan and deliver. So a lot of our work is multidisciplinary. So we have environmental lawyers, environmental scientists, environmental regulators, comms professionals and others, procurement people who need to come together to deliver a specific outcome that's going to achieve things. And those teams need to be coordinated and managed, and we have project managers to help us do that. And so this role leads that function and helps make sure those people are doing the right things in the right way. And there's a way for us to go there. We've developed, as Richard said, we're on version 1 point something, but there's version 2.0 and version 3.0 to get to make that a really effective project management function that's fit for us. And also, my team's wider role is about helping the organisation think strategically and face the challenges of the future. And part of this role is helping us to do that. And that might be specific projects or supporting with our strategy days, thinking about horizon scanning. There's a range of things that can do that might fall to my team to do and that can be part of this role. So I do think this is a really exciting opportunity to be involved at the heart of how an organisation like us, an independent, non-department public body, thinks, decides, and then acts, because you see how that happens, and you're a really, really important cog in enabling all that to happen well. If we go on, so what does that mean we need? So if that's the job, what do we need? We need. So this is, as Jenny said, this is from the job description. So for a full version, see the published works. You must pay good due attention. But what we really need, you really need to be able to communicate well. As I said, all your work is going to senior leaders. So whether that's writing really compelling, succinct narrative for senior audience, and this is all the public, or presenting well and authoritatively. So you need to be comfortable communicating that context. You need to be able to think critically and strategically, analyse, see what's going on and provide your recommendations. So really get to the so what from what you're seeing. That's really important. To do that, you are in a really privileged position in this role, and I say this to my team often, we're often in a privileged position because we see across the whole organisation in ways that few others do, and that means you'll need to have really good relationships across the organisation and across the business so that you can represent people and what they're saying to you and what you think their concerns might be, what they're flagging as risks, for example, and also you can challenge them in the right way where you need to. So you need those really good trusted relationships across the organisation. It helps to be able to get where we're coming from. So, if you get us, I kind of think of that as a bit of a gear wheel that will make the whole system go faster. So the more you understand us, what we're about, how we interact with the rest of the political environment, how we interact with politics, what's going on, the better. Now, what is really important is you don't need to know that in advance. So we don't need someone who's steeped in environmental politics by any stretch or environmental science, but we do need people who've got the ability and willingness to learn it and to invest the time and be curious and ask the right questions and go on that journey so that you can build that understanding over time. So it's the ability to do that. So if you've done that in a different context, that show us that in your application. I mentioned the project management functions. So we don't need a qualified project manager, but what we probably do need is someone who can lead those functions, who is confident in what those project and program management disciplines are about. Somebody, perhaps maybe you've got some experience of working with project managers, or but we have a specialist team who do the doing on the ground, but pulling that together really well is part of this role. And we do need people who can lead and can shape the space in which they're working, including by leading a team of project managers in this instance. So we've said that we're looking for some experience and an ability to successfully lead cross-cutting multidisciplinary teams, because that's the way we work. and really in one of more of the following areas. So again, if it's not that we want you to tick every box, but we're asking for experience of one of more of these areas, and obviously the greater fit that you can show us, I guess, the better. If you want to move on, John, is it still me, or is that my lot now?
That is the end of your section, Andy. So it is Jenny next. We've got a couple of questions that have come in. Richard, Andy, are you able to see those? Who would like to?
So I'll start with the second one because it's slightly easier, and give us more time to think. But the role. So we have 4 directorates, and we call directors. There's Richard's World, which includes my team, communications, engagement, and corporate services, as well as coordinating our work in Northern Ireland, so pulling our work together for Northern Ireland. So again, we're the kind of central functions. We have a team of lawyers, we have a team of scientists, and we have a team of regulators, essentially. But it's really important that most of our work is multidisciplinary. So it'd be quite unusual for a specific team to be doing a project or a piece of work entirely on its own. Most of our work depends on bringing that collection of skills together that says, how do we bring understanding of science, law, and application on the ground together to really get to the bottom of what's going on and how it can be improved. But obviously varies depending on the topic. So we fit it. Well, that's how we fit in broadly. And in terms of what our achievements are, I think we have a lot to be proud of as an organisation in the 2 years we've been going. Really, I was again, it's reflecting with a new joiner to us yesterday on how much we have achieved. That maybe it's easy for us to walk past. It's always easy for others to see where you've been sometimes. But one of our strategic objectives is to hold government account for the commitments it makes in its environmental improvement plan towards targets. And we produce a report every year, and that report is starting to become the kind of definitive assessment of what's going on in the environment in England at the moment. It's regularly cited in Parliament. It's used by others as a statement of truth, and we've done that from a standing start. So that's no mean achievement to kind of assess what's going on. We've intervened in particular through our enforcement functions in particular cases. So one of our objectives is to improve compliance with the law. And it is an amazing quote by the Minister in Northern Ireland that is said he was justifying why he'd changed the decision of the department, which in response to our requests. And he said, when the OEP comes a knocking, then you act. And that's for a regulatory body to have established that kind of relationship with the department in Northern Ireland in a couple of years is a good place to start. Now that sounds really complacent. So there's a couple of examples that we've done things where we can see the difference we're starting to make, but there is so much more that we can do, and we are just at the foothills of what the organisation can achieve. So there is lots to be going at too, but those are a couple of examples I'd give.
Thanks, Andy. I'll hand over to Jenny.
Okay, thank you very much, Andy. Hopefully that's now got you all geared up, ready to submit an application. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the application process now and how to apply. Just as a reminder, we do have the Q&A. We've had a couple of questions in. Please, if you think of something, pop it in the chat and we'll stop to address it at various points. So please pop it in there. Okay, application. So when you come to apply, for this role, you're being asked to provide a CV, which will detail both your work history and your qualifications. We're then asking for a 750-word statement of suitability on how you meet the essential criteria outlined in the person specification. So that's what Andy has just been through in the skills and experience is what we're looking for. That's what we want you to demonstrate in your personal statement. And also a 250-word behaviour statement on the lead behaviour, which is seeing the big picture. Once you have submitted your application form, it will be marked and assessed, and if you're successful, you'll be invited along to interview. Interviews will be held in person at the Worcester office, so we'll get to meet you and you'll get to meet us and see our lovely new offices. If a presentation or additional exercise is required, you'll be notified with plenty of time to prepare for that. Okay, if we could move on to the next slide, please, John. Okay, when you apply, you will be asked on your application form whether you require any reasonable adjustments. So there's two elements to this. You'll be asked whether or not you wish to apply under the Disability Confidence Scheme, and you'll be asked whether or not you want to require any reasonable adjustments. Please do read the wording very carefully. If you do wish to apply under the Disability Confidence Scheme, or you feel that you meet that criteria, please do tick that box, and we will make every effort to make the reasonable adjustments that you require in order to submit your application form all the way through to interview and appointment if successful. In terms of reasonable adjustments, you do not have to apply under the DCS in order to request a reasonable adjustment. So if you do feel you need a reasonable adjustment at application or interview, please do let us know. Put it on your application form, and again, we will work with you to provide that to help you. The wording on this slide is actually in the advert itself, so please do read it very carefully on your application form. But we are very keen to attract all applicants and believe in creating equal opportunity for all. So we do welcome every application. Okay, next slide, please. It's just a little bit about the terms of employment. Again, this is all in the advert, so please do read it very carefully. This role is based in Worcester. We do also have staff in Northern Ireland, but this role is for Worcester. You'll be contractually based at the Worcester office. We operate a blended working model supporting a combination of office and home working, which is dependent on business need and individual circumstances. So our current off attendance approach requires a 40% attendance in one of the OEP offices or on official OEP business at off-site meetings with partners or customers. Please do bear in mind those requirements when you're applying as well. In terms of salary, this is a grade 7 role which attracts a starting salary of £51,626. We also are eligible for the civil service pension, which is extremely generous, with roughly a 27.9% employer contribution rate, so it's really good. And in terms of leave, we start with 25 days annual leave, rising to 30 after 5 years. Those are just a few highlights. There are many, many, many benefits for working for the OEP. They're all listed in the advert, so please do give it a really good read so that you're aware of all the benefits of working here. Okay. Actually, can we do slide 15 first, please? I think they've come out of order.
Yeah, they have. I was just thinking that. I'll just move on, and then we can go back to that. Yeah.
Application tips. Okay. Personal statement. You've got to write. You've got 750 words. Up to 750 words. You can fill it, or you cannot fill it. It's entirely up to you. Focus on the essential skills and experience criteria. When writing your personal statement, please demonstrate how you meet this personal specification, providing examples to show your experience. Don't just make claims, don't make statements, actually demonstrate how you meet that criteria. Give us some real life experience, actually show us how you do it, have done it. In terms of your behaviour statement, no, you have to do one behaviour statement at interview, and then you'll be assessed on behaviours. No, sorry, you'll have to do one behaviour, written behaviour for the application, and then you'll be assessed on the behaviours in interview. Behaviours are in the advert, so you do know what they are. Read the Civil Service Success Profiles document. There is a link in the advert. There's also a link on this presentation. You can also Google it and it will come up. This is a really important document. Search for the behaviour that you are working on, say, for example, working together or seeing the big picture. Find a grade for that behaviour and read what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for you to demonstrate when you are providing your behaviour example. So it's really important to read that so you know what you're trying to provide. A few more tips: provide a specific example for each behaviour. Try not to amalgamate lots of different examples. Try to stick with one example that demonstrates that behaviour. We recommend you use the STAR format, situation, task, action, result, or the CAR, which is context, action, result, to model and structure your responses. So they're very clear. In your examples, use I rather than we. It's a common mistake. Lots of people always use we, but we want to know what you did. So please use I to demonstrate what you did. And also just do a Google research. There is so much out there about behaviours, competency-based interviewing. It gives you lots of hints and tips as to how to write a really good behaviour statement. So do have a bit of a Google research as well. Okie dokie.
Jenny, can I, at this point where you are, there's a question in the Q&A about statement of suitability.
Okay. Right, I'm using the 700-word limit on the statement of suitability. I'm attempting to use the STAR format to coherently show how I meet each of the criteria in the essential skills and experience. It's not a lot of words across. Right, okay. We're getting a bit, I think you're muddling the two things here. So when you're writing your 250-word behaviour statement, I would use the STAR format for doing that. For your 750-word personal statement, you just need to demonstrate how you meet each of the criteria and provide examples. It doesn't have to be done in the STAR format. The STAR format is very much about the behaviours and how to model and structure your answers towards the behaviours. So you have to do, for example, you've got the 250 words on seeing the big picture is the statement we've asked you for. Use the STAR format for that behaviour to structure your 250-word example. But in your personal statement, it's free flow. It's up to you how to show and demonstrate how you meet that essential criteria. You don't have to use the STAR format for that. I hope that answers the question. Please pop in if you need a bit more on that. Okay, indicative timelines. The application deadline is the 15th of September at 23:55. We're hoping to commence the day afterwards on the 16th of December with interviews the week commencing the 30th of September and offers around mid-October. Please note they're indicative dates and they may be subject to change. Okay, and we're now on to the Q&A, and I can see that we have had a few more come through. So let's have a look. Oh no, it's not. It's a response.
We have responded to those.
Okay, so thank you very much. We are here. If you wish to ask us questions, please pop them in the Q&A. We have Andy and Richard, captive audience. So yeah, far away. If you think of something afterwards, after the webinar, John, could you move to the last slide, please? If you think of something afterwards, and that's got the wrong closing date on it, I'm very sorry. But we'll go back up to that. I just want the email address here, which I will put in the chat.
I have already put it in the chat. So
if you think of any further questions that you think you'd like to ask afterwards, please email recruitment@theoep.org.uk. But we'll just go back up to the indicative timeline with the correct closing date on it. Apologies for that. Okay, right, we've not had any more questions come in. Is there anything anybody would like to add from the panel before we close? No.
Just to say thank you very much for your interest today. We hope that's excited you about this role as we are, and please do come back with any further questions, or otherwise we look forward to receiving your application. Thank you.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you very much, everybody. As I say, if you want to listen to it again in about 24 hours or so, this will be up on the OEP website, so you'll be able to listen back. But thank you very much for coming along today. I hope it's been interesting. I hope it's helped you. Okay, we'll say goodbye. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.